Okay, you asked me to solve this problem for you from the MathXL program, and this is a very nasty complex fraction. You've got fractions within fractions and they're being added. This is about as difficult as they get, and definitely a college algebra level problem. So what I've done here is I've rewritten the problem much larger so it's more visible, and I went ahead and cracked the trinomials and the binomials. Now it's presupposed that you can do that, and I've seen your work and I know you're quite strong at that and would have no problem cracking these correctly. The only one that was a bit difficult was this trinomial, and please note that plus 8 times plus 8 will give you a plus 64, and plus 8 plus 8 will give you this plus 16. So that trinomial cracks into these two similar binomials. And so here is the complex fraction rewritten with everything cracked. Now the game here is to multiply by 1. When you multiply a fraction by 1, you don't change things. And of course, we're not just going to multiply by 1. We are going to multiply by 1. We're going to multiply by a very complex form of 1. Let me show you that here. We're going to multiply by a fraction that's the same in the top and the bottom, so we're really multiplying by 1. And we need to figure out what that least common denominator is. The game here is we want to multiply by something that collapses all these fractions in one fell swoop. And so what I do is I go about looking for all for the least common denominator of these four fractions. And we look at this first term and we see we have an x minus 8. So I'm definitely going to have to have a factor of x minus 8 up here. And there it is. Now this has an x minus 8 and this one has an x minus 8. So 3 of the 4 have an x minus 8, which is nice. Some nice simplification is going to go on there. How about this factor of x minus 1? Well, this is the only fraction that has it, but it exists. And so in order for me to get this fraction to collapse, I need to multiply by x minus 1 as well. Now we move over to this fraction here, and I see I have a factor that we haven't caught yet, and that's x plus 8. And so I will include it in my list for the LCD. And now I think everything is accounted for, except there's one slight nuance here. I've got two factors of x plus 8 here, and if I multiply this by one factor of x plus 8, it will cancel, but I'll be left with this other factor down here that never canceled. So actually, what I need to do is to multiply by 2 instances of the factor x plus 8. And that will become a little clearer as we move on here. Let me bring this down a little bit and copy it and paste it down below, because after all, we are multiplying by a fancy form of 1. And I don't want to change the fraction to my left. I simply want to change the way it looks. And so that's why we're multiplying by this particular form of 1. Now what's going to happen here is we're going to have some distribution. And these four factors are going to distribute and multiply this fraction. And then they're going to be reset, and all four factors are going to multiply this fraction. And the same is going to be true for the bottom. All four factors on here are first going to multiply against this fraction, then they're going to get reset and they're going to multiply this fraction. Now when we multiply this first fraction here, all four of these factors will show up in the top, and the x minus 8s will cancel, and the x minus 1s will cancel, and we'll be left with simply x plus 8 over x plus 8. In other words, this first fraction is going to collapse to simply x plus 8 over x plus 8. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to reset and we're going to multiply into this fraction. And notice the x minus 8 and the x plus 8 are going to cancel. The x minus 8 and the x plus 8 are going to cancel. We're going to be left with x minus 1 over x plus 8. And that's the same game we play here down below. And what's interesting here is you can see when all four of these factors appear up here on the top of this fraction, I needed to have two x plus 8s to cancel these two x plus 8s. And what will be left behind will be the x minus 8 over times x minus 1. Okay, then we reset and we do this multiplication. The end result is that all four fractions collapse, and what we're left with is this. And I would ask you to stop and pause and make sure that you see that all four fractions collapse into just that form. Now what I did in my next step here was something slightly different. I noticed there was a repeated factor of x plus 8 here. And so what I did was I pulled it out. And that left, what got left behind was x plus 8 plus x minus 1. And then down here I had a repeated factor of x minus 1. And I pulled that out. The upshot of all this is that this is what we're left with here. Notice the x plus 8 came out. I pulled an x plus 8 out of this. There's two terms here on the top, this term and this term, and I pulled the x plus 8 factor out. It's repeated. And what got left behind was this x plus 8 right here, this addition sign right here, and this x minus 1 right here. And I did the same thing with the bottom, except I pulled out the x minus 1. And this is what got left behind. Now we have like terms here and we have like terms here. We're going to be left with 2x plus 7 in the top. And down here the minus and the plus 8 are going to cancel. We're just going to have 2x. And so when I do that, when I clean that up, combine those like terms, I'm left with this. And we're almost done, except when we write these things and we finish up the answer, and I'm not sure if MathXL is this finicky, but we always like the monomial in front of the binomial. And so here is my final answer right here. And don't be tempted to multiply this out. I know you can multiply these two binomials out and get some messy trinomial, and I know you can multiply this out, distribute, but you want things to be left in their factored form. It's a cleaner form, because after all, we can see that if x is 1 down here, we would be dividing by 0. If I went ahead and multiplied this out, that might not be so visible to us. And so that's why the factored form is preferred. Okay, I hope this helps. Be talking to you soon.